They do win a lot.
Oh, Caroline or Carolyn Ocampo, thank you for being here from Arlington, Texas. Awesome. Well, it's 6:05. We will begin our programming. Welcome everyone, especially Mortensen, for being here and doing this very relevant topic about how to unlock your potential from interview success to thriving in your new role. So this is what we will talk about today. I will do a very brief speaker introduction, tell you about the upcoming events, then I'll stop sharing my screen for Mortensen to show us their presentation. And at the end, in the chat, I will write the link and the QR code for the evaluation. Please let us know how we did. It's very important. It's the only way for us to improve our programming. My name is Ana Rodriguez. I am currently responsible for event content via the Research and Impact Office. I have a doctorate degree from UMass that I obtained before all of you were born in organizational development and training. I've been at SHIP for 6 years. I'm a lifetime member. It was a gift given to me 2 years ago. And I love to cook, ride my bike during the summer here in the DC area because there are a gazillion trails. So without further ado, let's introduce Noah Austin. He has always had a passion for talking to people and creating relationships. Noah has been working in talent acquisition and HR since graduating from the University of Colorado Boulder in 2021. Currently, he is a talent acquisition specialist with Mortensen on the college recruiting and student programs teams, attending career fairs across the nation, connecting to students, across the nation, connecting students to internships and full-time opportunities. Noah currently lives in Denver, Colorado, and enjoys skiing, golfing, playing poker with friends, and trying new restaurants with his girlfriend. Welcome, Noah, and thank you for being here. Next, we have Courtney Igbo Ogbon. She also works at Mortensen, and Courtney works as the Senior Diversity Recruitment Specialist on the College Recruiting and Student Programs team. She oversees the established partnerships with diversity center, collegiate, and professional organizations to recruit qualified diverse talent in Mortensen jobs. Courtney lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and enjoys traveling, watching reality TV, and spending time with her dog, Sloan. And hopefully she will tell us what kind of dog Sloan is. She attended Minnesota State University, Mankato, where she studied public relations. So please, I want for you to keep an eye on all of our newsletters. We have Ship Nation. If any of your graduate students will have Ship Conganas. And I want to give you a heads up, we will have one last event of Latinx Factor in June because we are reimagining the program so we can get better participation and provide more impact regarding these programs for you. So thank you for joining today, and I hope to see you in June. And without further ado, I will stop sharing my screen and have the Mortensen team give us their presentation. Thank you all for being here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anna. Share this. All right. Well, thank you. Nope, I'm not quite there yet. There we go. Do you see it now? Perfect. All right. Well, like what was said, our session today is all about interview success to thriving in your new role. I know a lot of people might be starting their first full-time role or an internship in a couple of weeks, or still looking for an opportunity. We can always work on our interview skills and methods to make sure that we feel confident. So we're going to talk about all of that today. We're very excited to be here, and thank you so much for having us, Ship. So right away, I'm going to turn it right over to Noah, and Noah's going to go over really quickly about the Mortensen company, just a couple of facts, couple of slides, who we are, what we do, and then he'll go over interviewing best practices, and then I will focus on preparing for your first internship or full-time role and things to do before your first day and how to get the most out of your experience. So I'm going to kick it right over to Noah.
Hey guys, yeah, we just wanted to tell you a little bit about obviously Mortensen and who we are, so you have a little bit of understanding of the company and what we do. I see I see at least one name of an intern that's going to be working with us this summer. So it looks like some of you may already know who we are, but Courtney, if you want to go to the next few slides, just take a couple minutes, and these, if you just want to click through, I'll kind of walk through it, but it's a family-owned company. So, Mortensen, we started 71 years ago. So the Mortensen family still runs it. So it's a private company, and they definitely want to keep that kind of family feel. So although we have, 7,000 plus team members, we have 12 offices across the US. And this also, we're a construction company. So the 7,000 team members includes our office people, but also includes our construction workers. So spread out across the US, each office has their own, kind of culture and kind of that family feel. So it's not just one large company. But we've earned a couple of different awards across the years. So, we're a top 30 builder when it comes to general contractors across the US. We've gotten Best Workplace Awards, 34 in the last 5 years. And we're growing, right? And so that's why we are partnering with groups like SHIP, to bring more people into this industry and expose you to the opportunities within construction, because there's a lot of opportunity there. We're going to be over 7 billion in revenue in 2025 and continuing to grow. If you want to go to the next slide. More a little bit about our office locations, because I know people are all over the place. So our headquarters is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's where we started. I work out of our Denver office, and then you could see, we're in Chicago, Milwaukee, Nashville, Phoenix, Portland, Salt Lake City, Seattle. These are our offices where we focus on commercial construction projects. And then we have 3 satellite offices that support multiple different types of work across the US. So I did see a lot of people from the Texas area. You guys can see we have that San Antonio office. That is where our renewable energy teams are based out of in some capacity, because there's a lot of work within the wind and solar industry down in, kind of that southwest, southeastern region. So that's where we have a satellite office there. A lot of our electrical engineers sit there and support that work. But majority of our team members are on site. They're on the construction project managing the work. If you want to go to the next slide. And then a couple, just a handful, right, of different markets that we serve. We're in a lot of different areas. So obviously we have that commercial work in those regions, your typical kind of higher education, healthcare work. But then we do a lot of other stuff. So in many cases, there's a lot of opportunity to travel with Mortensen. So if that's something that you're interested in, I definitely encourage you to look at some of those opportunities. But just wanted to kind of give you a quick snapshot of the different stuff that we do. And another cool fact is Mortensen always likes to try and get into a new market each year. So we're all about innovation and trying new things. And so one of our newer markets is going to be green hydrogen, which you could see there. So just another cool fun fact. But let's get into the bulk of why we're really here is how to set you up for success, right? How to unlock that potential. And so I'm going to be talking about kind of before you even get that interview, how can you set yourself up to try and get that interview or to really get in front of that company. So whether that's looking for your first internship or trying to get new experiences or looking for that first job out of college, however you're doing it, you always want to start with a list, right? So I'm sure everyone has told you this, conduct your research, start with a list. That's really where you want to start, right? Because there's so many companies out there, there's so many opportunities, and so you really want to write it down on paper and get a starting place. So first, research companies that you're interested in working with. Make a long list, write pros and cons for those companies, right? And cross them off or add more as needed, right? And then from there, once you have your list, review the open positions that match your qualifications and or experience level based on what's available from that company. Um, and I emphasize that because as a recruiter, we're on the other side of things, and we have a lot of people reaching out to us about roles and things, but it might not even be a role that I'm working on, or it might be a role that they're completely unqualified for, right? And so I think that's a really good piece of advice is making sure that you're looking at the right role. And if you don't know what the right role is, reach out to that recruiter and maybe ask them, hey, is this the right position that I'm looking for? Or any advice that you may have for me to point me in the right direction will be helpful. Um, because the last thing a recruiter really wants is someone reaching out to them on a role that they're not recruiting on or is clearly not the right fit. So that's what I would say is make that list of companies and then start looking at those positions. And then once you find that correct position, find that recruiter, find that hiring manager, and try and reach out to them directly. Um, get your name in front of them. Put your resume in front of them because that's going to encourage them to click in and review it and actually see that you're interested. Um, and then the next piece is try to prioritize attending any in-person or virtual events such as this that these companies are hosting. So again, I'm on the other side of things. One of the campus recruiters. I put on events such as career fairs, webinars, and class presentations and info sessions on campus. And quite frankly, we want to meet people in person. We want to have those conversations and see people in person and in some cases sometimes prioritize those in-person candidates. So if you're able to go to these types of events, get in front of recruiters, get in front of managers or supervisors at the company, that's going to get you in front of um, the right people and for a lot of companies put you at the top of the list for being able to be interviewed. um, and then lastly, personal connections are key. um, you've probably heard of it's who you know, not what you know. And in some cases, that may be true. So utilize any personal connections if you have any. Try and ask them for a reference or ask them, for any names of people that you should reach out to, or just ask for a cold introduction. Hey, can you just say, hey, I have someone that's interested? Maybe it's not a reference, but it's just introducing you to the right person. Um, I know that was a lot, but I think the main thing is do your research, make sure you're applying to the proper positions, get in front of those companies, and then utilize your personal network. The next slide. All right. So now, hopefully, you have that interview, right? And you're preparing for the interview with that company. Um, And in some cases, if you go to the career fair, that interview could be the next day. So some of this stuff could be pretty quick. But here's some of my kind of main things that I would recommend. The first one is really understand the position and the company you are interviewing for. Um, Again, being on the other side of things, it's definitely a turn off when I interview someone and they don't really know what the position is, right? Or they don't really know what they're looking for. Um, when it comes to entry level, we don't expect you to know everything. That's for sure. But having a little bit of knowledge of what you're wanting to do or what you're really applying for is going to be huge. Um, so whether that's just reviewing the company website, just looking at additional content that's out there, about that type of position, um, and the type of projects or work that the company does, um, is gonna help you kind of get that understanding. If you have enough time, maybe reach out to someone at the company that has that same role. Reach for us, field engineer is the main role we're looking for. Reach out to a field engineer and say, hey, I have an interview with Mortensen, and I'm wondering if you could just let me know what a day in the life is or what your main tasks are on the job. It doesn't hurt. You might not get a response right away, but again, it doesn't hurt if you can get some of that information. And then the next thing is really think about your previous work experience or class projects or any personal situations that relate to this job, or relate or somewhat relate to this job. Um, so using things like the STAR method to formulate responses is gonna help, right? Um, Typically, you're gonna get pretty standard interview questions, right? Um, and having something like the STAR method is really gonna help you have something on the top of your mind of to kind of explain what the situation is, right? What you really did, what the task was, and then what the result is. And that's really what companies are looking for, is how you handled it and what the outcome was. Um, so, just jot some of these things down, right? Have them at the top of your head. Maybe don't think about your response word for word, because these questions are going to be, different, right? So you're going to have to be prepared to pivot your responses, but just having some of these things at the top of your head that you want to remember is going to be huge for sure. And the most important thing is come with questions of your own. Write down 3 to 5 questions that you want to ask yourself. Um, because at the end of the day, um, even if you get the job offer, it's your decision on if you're going to take this offer, right? So you want to make sure that the position is the right one for you. Um, and having questions and getting those answers from the interviewer is going to help you understand more of what the position is, what the company does, and if it's a good fit for you. Also, I want to just say, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll probably try to get to them at the end, because I know I'm kind of blabbering on. So feel free to put questions in the chat. Um, okay, great. So now you you've kind of jotted down your things, right? You're prepared for the interview. So now we're talking the day of the interview, right? Some of this stuff you've definitely heard, but um it's not bad to kind of reiterate some of this stuff, right? So first thing is dress for the job, right? Understand what the job is, you know, understand how the company is kind of situated, right? Um, you don't have to wear a suit and tie to every single interview, right? But depending on what the position is, dress appropriately and show up professionally no matter what. Obviously, you don't want to wear a shirt and shorts, but you know, maybe it's business casual, maybe it's a little bit more professional. Dress for the appropriate job. Review your talking points and think of any additional questions you may have. Um, just do that kind of brief kind of review, and again, make sure that you have the questions that you want to ask. Um, you need to really understand if this is the job, if this is the best fit for you. Um, I really want to reiterate that. Again, being on the other side of things, I love it when students come with questions, because it shows that they're genuinely curious about, hey, you know, what is the culture with your company? what am I actually going to do on a day-to-day basis, right? Um, do I have a mentor? Am I going to have a mentor? Am I going to have these opportunities to grow my career at the company? I want to see those questions asked because it shows that they care, right? And then lastly, relax, breathe. Um, you got to try and stay calm and understand it's really just a conversation. Um, I've been in interviews on the other end where I was really, really nervous. I had my talking points, and I totally kind of just blanked because I was thinking they were just grilling me, but at the end of the day, you're just having a conversation. So trying to stay calm, take your time, um, with your answers is going to be really important. If you overthink it, you're likely going to be trying to rush with your answers and you might blank. So trying to relax, do a little bit of breathing before, um, is going to help you out for sure. And then after the interview, always follow up with your recruiter, or the interviewer with a thank you, and ask for feedback. How can you be better? What should you be focusing on, right? Any advice that they can have will be helpful. And that could either be for the next round of interviews, or it could be for a different interview or for other interviews down the line. Um, any feedback is always helpful. And having that follow up is going to show that you're obviously very interested in the position, and you're eager to hear back. So I think that's a very easy thing to do. Um, but that's kind of my big advice on, getting that interview and preparing for that interview. There's obviously a ton of other things out there, but I think these are the main things that you want to focus on um, when preparing for your interview.
Okay. Any questions for Noah about the interview process and how to prepare?
Yes, I do.
Mhm. Go ahead.
Hi. So I have, how many questions can I ask Noah?
As many as you wish.
Okay. So there's this internship that I'm applying for, and they're not doing interviews yet, but it's for a public library, and so in their job description, how do I answer an interview question for a task that I have not done but have similar experience from another internship?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So um, that's exactly kind of what I was, one of my bullet points, it said like just trying to draw from similar experiences is perfect, right? And so maybe if you haven't specifically used that program, you can kind of say, although I haven't used that program before, I've done something very similar in my former jobs, and I'm willing to use my past experience to learn how to grasp this new task, right? Or this new program. And so I think wording it like that, um, where you can draw from your previous experience is going to be huge, especially for something that might be a little bit more entry level, right? We understand that half of the things that entry level students are going to do, they're going to learn on the job. So I think having some of that similar experience and calling that out is going to be huge.
Okay. Next one. Part of the job description stated for the candidate to help create promotional materials. So should I put, like, I'm not immediate level on AI Canva. I'm beginning
Hmm.
level. So should I put AI Canva in my skills section for that?
I mean, I think yes. Um, with, I mean, if you're, I think it sounds like you've had some experience with it, so I would definitely, yeah, put that down. Um, unless you haven't used it at all, then I wouldn't.
Okay.
Does that kind of
Well,
make sense?
yeah, I have used it last semester for like a final for part of a final project. Um,
Definitely put
so
it
I have
down
a
then. Yeah, yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
for sure. And um, let's be honest, like, you know, I feel like when people like I think like things like AI and Canva, that's stuff that you can learn on the go, right? And so I think that would be fair for you to put that down for sure.
Okay. One more question. Can we bring a water bottle to the interview?
Um, yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
Thank
hey,
you.
that stuff like that, if personally, I think if someone is interviewing you and they don't like you because you brought a water bottle to the interview, it's probably someone that you don't want to work for. But that's just me.
Well, sometimes my throat gets a little dry if I
Exactly.
talk too much. So
Yeah, yeah. Bring what you need. I think a water bottle is completely fine. I wouldn't bring anything illegal. Yeah,
all right. Thank you, Noah.
totally.
There's another question in the chat. How to maximize our experience in a career fair if the person we're talking to is not a hiring manager? And that
Yeah.
Ivan or Yvonne, if Yvonne Acosta, if you want to unmute yourself and provide more clarification, if you may.
Um, no, I think that is a great question. And so a lot of the times, um, they might not be a hiring manager. However, um, I think I think when you're at a career fair booth, the best thing that you can do is obviously, tell them about yourself, right? Provide your information, but also learn as much as you can, right? And just try to ask questions. I think is going to be a really big key when you're just at that booth, right? Um, ask them, hey, what do you do? Or well, first ask them about the company, right? If you don't know yet, but also ask them what they're really recruiting for and see if that is a good fit with what you're looking for. And I don't think they necessarily need to be a hiring manager. Um, but getting their contact, being able to follow up, will be big as well because then they can pass you off to a hiring manager. Um, but at least from our standpoint with Mortensen, a lot of the times we might not have a hiring leader at the booth with us, but the people that we bring there have a say in who we move forward with. So making sure that you're asking the right questions and getting your name out there is should be good.
Thank you, Noah. Samantha, your hand is raised. You want to unmute yourself and tell us your question.
Yes, hi. My question is, these are tips for more like in-person encounters, but what if I have a online interview? Do you have any tips for to get a better connection with the recruiter? Because sometimes I feel like they don't really they can't really capture my essence and my personality through an online meeting. Do you have any tips to kind of connect better with the recruiters and have a more like fluent and not so awkward interview process?
Yeah. No, that's a really good call out too. And it is tricky, right? And what I like kind of the same thing that I would say for in person is come with those questions, right? Making sure that it's a two-way conversation is going to be huge instead of them just kind of, you know, getting at you and maybe one of those questions is just, hey, if they don't tell you, which they should, what do you do at the company? Tell me a little bit more about yourself, right? Maybe trying to get a little bit more personal with the interviewer can make it a little bit of an easier conversation. Usually that happens at the end of the interview, but still, I feel like if you're getting a little bit more personable with the interviewer, they'll remember you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and sorry, one more thing, Samantha. I think another thing with that might be good is obviously you don't want to kind of like you know blabber on, I guess, with your interview questions, but try not to have very like blunt answers. I've had that with virtual, but if you can kind of have a little bit more fluent answers and some follow-up questions too to kind of keep the conversation going, I think that would be smart.
Okay, that's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Um, cool.
Did we answer all the questions?
I have one
Thank
more question here. I've heard
Oh, okay.
perspectives on cover letters from the recruitment side. Is that something you want to see on application?
So, I don't think a cover letter hurts. Like I don't think you shouldn't. I would say, it's up to you, right? I'm not gonna say one or the other. I definitely would still read a cover letter. Um, so I would still submit one. Um, I just don't know if I would take several hours to create a cover letter. Courtney, I don't know what your advice would be there.
Yeah. I think it really depends on what you are trying to say, in my personal opinion. If you are looking to maybe do a career switch or a huge industry switch, I think explaining how your experience aligns with the job that you're applying for will help the recruiter or hiring manager kind of understand, like, huh, we got somebody in a totally left field industry. Like, how is this person maybe going to perform in this role? So I think that's your opportunity to sell yourself even more. But if you are applying to something that is like super aligned with your background, I don't think it's necessary. Um, Again, it's totally up to you. If you think that that is something that you need to feel confident in your application, by all means submit one. But I wouldn't be shocked if a recruiter that contacts you read it, if at all. So totally up to you. You're going to hear both sides of the answer. So I think I'll always leave it up to the applicant to submit one or not, because some people prefer them, some people don't care for them. So I don't know if there is really a concrete answer. All right. So we are going to move on to the next section here. So now you've interviewed, you've met all the people, you've been offered the role, you said yes, you're hired. And so now here are the things that, from our perspective, you should definitely keep in mind both before you start your role and then after you start your role and as you're experiencing your duties there. So before your first day, the biggest thing, if your job offer for an internship more so than a full-time role does not include housing, make sure that the moment you say yes, that opportunity, you are looking for housing. That is huge. A lot of times internships can be in more rural areas where it's going to be a little bit harder to find like a ton of apartments. Like if you're in Minneapolis here, we have apartments literally in all corners. But if you're working, let's say on one of our projects, solar, wind, where you're going to be working in just like a lot of land, there isn't going to be a ton of housing. So just make sure that you are doing that as soon as you say yes to that opportunity. I don't care if you are hired in September, you don't start until June. Start looking for housing right away. Make sure that you track down and have your employment documents. Now, this is the biggest thing. I have been working with interns now for over 5 years, and every year there is somebody who does not bring their employment documents. It is so important that on that first day, and any company will send you the federal form that shows like you need, one thing from group A or like whatever, you've probably all have seen that. But that will typically include like a state ID, a driver's license, a passport, birth certificate, whatever it may be. It's all listed on that document. It is the same for any place that you are employed at. So just make sure that you bring those on the first day and that you know where they are. I know sometimes college students don't have those documents. Typically, they're like with their parents or their guardians or with another family member or whatever it may be. You still have to bring the physical copy, not a digital copy, not a photocopy, not a picture, the actual thing tangible in hand. I stress this because we have not at Mortensen, but at a past place, we've had to essentially uh, not fire somebody, but end their employment and then restart it a week later because they couldn't get a hold of their hiring documents, which obviously put some time in between their projects. So want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So just make sure you know where all of that is. It is accessible and that you bring it with you on your first day. Review your benefits. So both on the intern and the full-time side, making sure that you understand what benefits are available to you. That's going to look a little bit different for most companies on the intern side versus the full-time side. So just make sure that you understand what your benefits look like, how much PTO you get, or how many days you can take off, or what are the company holidays, what are some maybe perks that are involved that I can take advantage of, what is health insurance, what is 401k. So make sure that you have a somewhat of a good understanding. All companies should send out a document, a PDF of where you can read about all of that. So familiarize yourself with that and then come with questions on your first day in case something doesn't make sense to you. We want to make sure that you have total understanding of that. So all of that is clear for you right away. Again, research the company. I know sometimes, especially like when we're at SHIP, we meet a student, we interview them, we like them, we give them an offer, and then like within 72 hours, they're now an intern or a field engineer with us. So you might not have had a lot of time to research the company. So if that is your case, just making sure that you're looking up not only their website, but looking them up on LinkedIn, looking at who is working there and seeing what some of the people have studied, where they're living, what projects that they're working on. LinkedIn is like, it's a free resource, and I can't believe that it's totally free. It is seriously so valuable and something that I'm always clicking through. I'm newer to Mortensen, so I was, looking at the company myself just last summer, and I was clicking through so many people's different profiles from like, who's Courtney? Why is she looking at me? But I just wanted to see like who would be my coworkers. So definitely take some time to do that and maybe write down a couple names where like, oh, this person has a really interesting background. I kind of want to meet them, maybe set up a coffee chat when I get there. This is more so on the company side, but hopefully you receive a call or an email from your manager, your direct manager, to do an intro, and they can introduce themselves to you. And so they give you a little bit more insights on what day one might be like, things you need to bring, some reminders, etc. Something that I always practice is before my first day at a new job, I always drive like the week before, make sure I can find it, make sure I know the route to get there, make sure I put in the right address in my GPS. There are often times where people like their day one is the first time they even get to their workplace and they're late because they're like, oh, I put in the wrong address or it took me to this weird place. I don't know where it took me. Not necessarily your fault, but to avoid that and feeling flustered on your first day, just take a drive, see where it's at, and know how to get there when you have your first day. Create a list of goals. So what do you want to get out of your experience? What skills do you want to learn? What people do you want to meet? What industries do you want to research more? It doesn't have to be super in depth. It doesn't have to be super technical either. It could be, I want to meet 5 people outside of my direct group that I work in, whatever it may be, but just have some intentional goals of what you want to get out of that experience and just refer back to that as you go throughout your experience. And then confirm your start date and time of arrival. Again, that will most likely be communicated with your manager, but in case it's not, definitely reach out to either your direct manager if you know who that is, or the recruiter that you have been working with to confirm like what is my day one and what time am I expected to be there. So that is clear, written down, you know exactly what to expect. And then any job specific items, special apparel, protective gear, etc. If there's anything that you need to purchase or obtain prior to your first day, make sure that you have that in hand as well. Any questions on this section?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have one question. So if I get hired for the internship and the starting salary is $10, is it appropriate for me to negotiate the salary or not?
Yeah, it really depends on the company. Typically, from what I've seen personally, most companies don't negotiate intern offers. We do want to make sure that everyone is being paid the same hourly rate. And so just for equitable reasons, we offer everyone the same hourly rate. That might differ by company. I've only really worked for large organizations, and a lot of the people that I know also work for large organizations. So that just might be a large organization thing. If it's like a smaller, like a nonprofit or something like that, they might do things differently. Definitely ask. It doesn't ever hurt to ask, but don't be shocked if you get that response of, oh, for internships, everyone is paid this flat rate, and everyone is paid the same hourly, so that it's the same across the board.
All right, thank you.
We have a question from Miguel Flores. I am about to begin my internship as a field engineer. What are some effective ways to build strong professional relationships with my fellow interns and the project manager from the start?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a lot of so like on our team, we have someone, her name is Bailey, who does like all of our intern programming. And so she is creating opportunities for interns to network with each other, whether that be through onboarding or virtual events or in-person events, etc. So definitely attend those, get to know some people there. Typically, we have, and I think Noah might know this a little bit more than I, but typically I think we have a couple interns on each project or each operating group or office. So you should know or meet them very soon when you start who your fellow intern cohort is on your job site. So definitely, exchange numbers, get to know one another, find things to do on the weekends if that's the way that you recharge. You want to like go explore the place that you're living. Definitely feel free to do that. I know a lot of interns end up doing that. And then with your manager, I mean, I think the biggest thing is that you are getting to know them professionally and personally as well. Like, not only are they your manager, but in a lot of ways, they're your mentor as well. They're really the person who is exposing you to all these new concepts and giving you opportunities to learn from others. Just making sure that you have an open and honest communication line with your project manager, and that you feel comfortable going to them with questions, getting to know them on a professional and personal level, etc. I think a lot of people at Mortensen too, we're people. Think that's a construction thing as well. So I don't think you'll have any issues getting to know your manager well. But definitely for your interns, you should have some that are right there on your site. But if you're having trouble meeting people, definitely reach out to the college team and kind of see like, hey, like I'm on this project site or I'm in this area. Are there any interns that are like within an hour for me that I can reach out to? We have all that. We know where everybody is. So just reach out to the college team and we'll be able to connect you with some people as well.
There are no other questions in the chat. We will continue, Courtney.
Cool. All right. So now that you have been through first day, first week, here are some things, again, to make the most out of your role once you have started. So number one is attend all company business meetings. That is a really great way just to learn about the company as a whole. I know at Mortensen, for example, we can get a little bit siloed and, data centers versus, different projects across the nation, sports, entertainment, etc. So we often have like every quarter, we have a company-wide meeting just to get updates on what's happening as a whole. So definitely prioritize that, attend those meetings. if your schedule allows, of course. But for the most part, like as an intern, as a new employee, I think a lot of your management will expect you to go to those things because you're new and you're learning so much. And so there's so much good information that comes from those meetings. So definitely prioritize that to either attend virtually or in person if you can, and meet some people that way too. Um, Typically as a part of your onboarding experience, you will have an opportunity to either like watch a recording or attend a virtual overview of your employee benefits that is usually ran by the team, like the total rewards team within human resources department. So definitely prioritize that, attend that, make time for that. So again, you understand what is offered in terms of health insurance, PTO, days off, who to contact for what, how to get a hold of HR, payroll, etc. Definitely do that so that all of that is not gray as you start, and save all of those documents and just like email them to yourself, put them on your desktop so that they're readily available for you in case you ever have questions or need to go back and relearn something. Set up regular check-ins with your manager. I know for myself, I have a weekly check-in with my manager where we just kind of go over the things I'm working on, future presentations. We're going over slides, going over budget things. So work with your manager to see like what cadence works best for both of your schedules. Sometimes it could be a weekly thing, sometimes it's every other week, or maybe it's as needed. Typically, when you start out, it's probably going to be more so weekly. Again, so you have dedicated time with your manager to ask your questions. Always come prepared to those meetings. Don't just like log in and be like, hey, manager, like have an agenda, have a list, have talking points, and making sure that the time is well spent. Take advantage of professional development courses. I know a lot of companies offer opportunities just to upskill yourself. It could be like planning an event or leading a team or project management, wherever it may be. Typically, you'll have some courses that are already pre-assigned to. It could be like an overview of the company, or typical phrases or language that you'll hear as people are talking that are really specific to the company and organization you're working for. So just take us some time just to click around that. And especially if that is a free resource, that is a really great way to continue to skill yourself up and to learn new concepts. A lot of companies also have, here are a couple different things, but like business resource groups, employee resource groups. Typically, they're aligned to a certain demographic. So it could be a group for African American people, it could be a group for the LGBTQ plus community, etc. Those employee resource groups, anybody can be a part of them, and that's another really great way to meet new people, to attend professional development sessions. A lot of them host speakers, happy hours, coffees, etc. So if you're new and you're like, I have absolutely no idea how to meet people, that is like a very easy way to meet people across the company. You're going to see people from all across the board, to like new hires, interns, all the way up through VPs. CEO probably will attend some of the events as well. So it's a really great way to network, get your name out there. And typically those are the people that everyone kind of knows their name, and that's a good thing. Preparing for your performance reviews. So typically you'll have a review every single year about your performance, how you're doing, the things you're doing well, things you continue to work on, making sure that you know when that's going to happen, preparing for that, talking with your manager. Nothing should be a surprise to you when you have your performance review. So just making sure you have open and honest communication with your manager. Nothing should be of a shock to you when you do that. And then think about future job goals. Like you're starting out, you are a new employee, intern, first job out of college. Like, where do you want to be? Where do you want to see yourself? That is something that your manager probably will ask you a couple months into your role, right? Because it's a part of their job to help skill you up and develop you and get you in front of the right people to get you to the job that you want to be in eventually. So put a lot of thought into that. Maybe you don't have like a concrete timeline. At some point, I want to be, a manager. So at some point, I want to have a direct report, or at some point, I want to lead a project, whatever that may be. Just always continue to think about the things that you can do to get yourself a little bit closer to that opportunity, but also bringing your manager in so that they can help you find those opportunities as well. So, questions?
Hey, Courtney,
Yeah.
great job. I think one other thing that I just thought of,
Mhm.
another piece of advice just for starting your career is go out, meet people that are outside of your team.
Yes.
It's great to, and it's easy for me to say because I am very social and extroverted, but I think there is a lot of, um, there's a lot of benefit in going out and kind of expanding your network. Um, because a lot of the times you're not going to be doing the same exact job for the rest of your career. You might pivot and go find that you might want to go do something else within the company, or maybe it's a different company, right? So just another piece of advice that I thought would be good is just go have fun and meet as many people as you can.
And I totally forgot to add to my slide, and I thought about it for a half second. I forgot it again. Especially as you all get into your full-time roles, obviously you are a part of SHIP. See if you can attend the national convention with the company and be at the booth and be a recruiter. I know we had some of our new hires at the convention last year, and they love the experience. And it's just so fun to have people who are excited. Everybody's excited to be there, but it was just fun to have them like have that experience of being a student, going through that experience themselves a year prior, going to the interview, getting the role, and now they're here helping us bring in new talent. So if that is something that interests you, definitely reach out to like your college recruiting team. Whoever hired you typically is the people who are going to these conventions and conferences. So if that is something that interests you, we're always looking for people to help us find the best talent. So definitely raise your hand for those opportunities. So fun.
Well, we have 3 minutes before the event ends. If you have questions, now's the time to ask. Don't be shy. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to count. 4 minutes. That's all.
All good. It's the end of the day.
Please, if you have any questions, don't keep those in. Ask. You'll have time.
Well, thanks for having us. I really enjoyed the session.
Absolutely. We had a lot of interaction, so that was fabulous.
Yes.
Mortenson team, thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Noah, for the time you have given us and explaining to us how to be successful in our interviews. I am so incredibly grateful to you both. And for the participants, I hope you had all the information to get you prepared for those upcoming interviews that you will have to get an internship or a job. And thank you very much for being here. Please to know that this meeting is recorded. After I get that recording, I will send it to our marketing team that will post it in our YouTube channel. So please, if you have questions, we have 3 minutes.
Yeah, we had a question from Miguel in the chat, and they were asking, we're typically looking for a lot of people for the convention. So yeah, we typically, like Noah said, have a large group that we send, especially to SHIP, because that is one of the larger conventions that we go to. So I think last year we had over 30 people go to SHIP. And people are doing all different things. Some people are at the career fair booth talking to students. Some people are in the interview booth hosting interviews with people that we meet at the career fair. Some people are participating in panels, leading or as a panelist or a moderator. Some people, everybody is at the hospitality suite that we host. So yes, a lot of people that we send, and we do, since it is a fall convention, we do have quite a few openings left to hire as well. So send a lot of people, and we hope to hire as many as we possibly can from SHIP and other organizations as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. We have 2 minutes. Oh, Caroline.
Yes, one more question. So the internship is asking for either Spanish speaking or Vietnamese candidates. So my Spanish is okay. I mean, it's not basic, but it's okay. And I'm still practicing, but I mean, I can actually talk in like little sentences, but not in a conversation. However, for this internship, if I don't speak a really good Spanish, I could still apply. And while doing the internship, I can actually practice my Spanish, right?
Well, my advice, I don't know exactly what the role you're talking about, but you know, usually when it specifically says, hey, we're looking for someone that is proficient in Spanish, it's a crucial piece to the role. And so if you're not confident in your ability to carry those conversations, it might not be the best fit. But um, I don't know the exact position, so I can't say. Um, but let's just say if you did apply and they reached out to you, that might be one of the first questions that you would get. Um, and so I think I'd just be prepared when you get that question to tell them the truth, right?
Well, do you think maybe they'll like test me?
100%. Um, if they and they, it might not be a test, but um, it's they're gonna take your word for it and they'll find out sooner rather than later if it's true.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us, everyone. Appreciate it.
You are muted, Anna, if you're talking.
Thank you again, Mortensen, for being here. I hope to see either both of you or just one of you at convention. And thank you all participants for being here. Don't forget, check our YouTube channel to see the full recording. Thank you everyone so much and have a great weekend. Have a great week and the weekend later on. It's only Monday. But
It is.
Hey, you said it. I'll take the week. I'll take the
Right?
week off.
Let's fast forward.
See
All
ya.
right. Thanks, everyone.
thank you. Bye.